Hey there, Juan Morales here, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about a very important distinction that is meant for entrepreneurs and everybody who's trying out something that they're doing to really understand the difference between following the established dogma within the marketplace and to focus on where your strength lies. Let me explain the difference. Most people, when they join and they get into a market, they look at what their competitors are doing and they want to do whatever their competitors are doing a little bit better, right? So if everybody in your marketplace, let's say they are putting out reports, then you come in with a report and that report may have a better title, it may have better copy, it may be longer. You know, there's all kinds of ways that you can play within the idea of, hey, reports are the way that we get it. And this happened to me for the longest time when I was going into markets, and I would come in and I would just do the same thing that everybody else was doing kind of in that market. And after a while, I took that to be dogma, which again, you guys know, if you've heard all my podcast episodes, you know that I'm all against that dogmatic teaching of only one way of doing it. So one day I was talking to one of my mentors, and then he lays out the idea that most people follow those things because they've never been taught any different. And the first people that did that did whatever the default way is to do certain things in the market, those first people were very good and capable of doing just what that was. So, for example, let's say that instead of thinking in terms of the reports, let's say the first people that did them, they're great at making reports, right? Like that's what they did. They would do reports for other things. They would write books, let's say. And if you're competing in a world where all the other people are authors and their writing is very good and they want to get into writing, if you come in and you want to write like they do, you're going to have a hard time unless that's the thing that really drives you and the quality and skill that you have of writing is very high. But otherwise, you're going to be trying to play in a game where they have a definite advantage over you. So this is where this distinction comes in. You want to rewrite the game so that you're playing to the game that plays to your strengths. And that changes for different people. And if you're going into a market and everybody does reports, but you're not great at writing, but you're great on video, you can take the lead and go into video, because the reason that everybody else is making reports is because either they are following what's already been done, or they're not good on video, but they're good at writing. And this is really where I saw the distinction to understand what are you naturally good at that you can bring to your marketplace that can really help them. And for me, that tends to become my default way of trying to help them. It's kind of like, what do I do when someone comes to me with a question and I want to give them the best possible answer? Is it a report that I make? Is it a video? Is it a mind map? Is it some sort of cheat sheet? Is it some sort of tool? Is it some sort of software? Is it a video? Like, what is it? Because all these things are valuable to your audience. And the thing is, because you have a skill within that delivery mechanism, that means that whatever you put out is going to be more valuable within that skill that you put in. If you're great at, let's say, doing videos and explaining stuff through video, as I know several experts are, they go to video because video to them comes natural, comes easy, and it's very easy to get, and people find it very valuable. Conversely, I've seen other experts that are not good at doing video, but they believe that because it's the new thing that everybody talks about, right? You have to do video, video, video. And then it becomes, you have to do Clubhouse, 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 or you have to do podcast, podcast, podcast. And what happens is people fall into that dogmatic idea and they follow on a path of something that is a definite weakness for them. If you are, let's say, for example, making videos, I'm all for you practicing and training yourself and doing all these things. But if you're doing videos because you think that videos are the only way to reach your audience, that's where the mistake comes in. That's where you're not playing to your strengths. You're playing to someone else's strengths. Because whoever told you that video is the thing, they're great at doing video. It's the same as people that sell you on anything. They tell you that that's the only thing that works because that's the thing that works for them. Because that's their thing. And this is a clear definition that you want to keep all the time in your mind, because there are so many ways to get into a market, to connect with your customers, to create new customers, to keep your customers happy, and they're all based on value. Now, value is a product of not only giving them the content, but giving them the content in such a way that they get it. I had a call with a client the other day, and he mentioned this thing of wisdom being everywhere, but the way it's delivered changes from person to person. And what you're looking for is that. So you always want to look for what's your best way of delivering that value. How do you default when you're explaining something? Is it that you grab a piece of paper and you start drawing stuff? Well, guess what? That's what you should give your audience, because you're always going to be better when you do that. That delivery mechanism for you has an embedded expertise in itself, without it having to be a copy of something else that someone else is doing. And that's what led me to doing several things in different markets that came in and changed the way the market worked completely. Because I was coming in with my own ideas from a different standpoint and thinking the whole time, how can I deliver these people the most value? And the most value is not only the best content, but actually the best content in the best context, so they can really get it. And once you deliver it, and once that content goes in and does what you want it to do, that's when you create that tribe. That's when it all works. And that could be different ways. I have friends that still to this day, all their stuff is audio, because they record, like I'm recording this podcast, they record it on their phone and they pace around and they do their thinking, because that's their way. I have other friends that and clients that the way that they do it is through videos. I have other people that write articles and stuff like that. So everybody has their own mechanism of delivering that value. And we tend to rely heavily on one of our own, which means that because we've relied on it, we've already practiced a lot of that. And why are you trying to build up something to go from failing to somewhat good, instead of doubling down on what's already working for you, which is your default way of trying to solve these things? Now, to realize which is the one for you, this is what I did, and this is what I encourage all my clients to do on a regular basis, is to think, what is the default that you go to when a client comes to you and asks for help? If you're there, you're sitting there, and they come in and they ask you a particular question, how do you explain it? Is it that you start drawing stuff? Is it that you want to give them a written thing? Is it that you want to give them a video? Is it that you want to write a book about it or give them a book about it? Like what? How do you produce it? Because all these things, once the idea is out of your mind, it can be taken to several different media. But the point is to get it out of your mind in the best, fastest, and most effective way possible. And that's usually going to be on your best delivery mechanism, which is the one that you've been practicing forever. So remember, guys, the whole idea here is stop thinking in terms of the dogma, in terms of the things that everybody else does, right? They're doing that because it plays to their strengths. If they're good at making videos, then they'll keep making videos. And they'll keep trying to convince you that that's the only way that you can get into the market because they're selling video stuff. But the real way to get into the market, the real way to connect with your market, is to do the thing that comes to you most naturally and double down in the practice of that. And the more you're able to do those things, the more it helps them. One of the ways that I do that with my clients is precisely this. These podcast episodes is one of my mechanisms to explain things to people, to visualize ideas, to explain distinctions, to explain differences, and everything that goes into that. That's why this became a mechanism for me to put the ideas out there. Now, I can grab these episodes and then I can repurpose them into other things, because I'm doubling down on something that already comes natural to me. But if I try to do something that does not feel natural to me, that feels like a pain in the butt to do, and let's face it, for me, writing certain things, I don't feel like doing it. I can speak a lot, and all my clients and all my friends know me that it's like, hey, you get this guy going and he's going to go forever. But the point is, you want to double down on where you're already strong. And this is against the dogma. If everybody else is doing videos and you come in and you're doing something that you're doing audio, but what happens is you're great at doing audio only, but if you try to do video, it doesn't work as well, then trust me, the audio is going to work. The proficiency that you have and the expertise that you have at your chosen delivery mechanism makes up for whatever other hindrances you think that mechanism itself has towards the market. If you believe that everybody wants to watch video, but then you only do audio recordings, don't worry about it. Because you know what? The videos, people make videos all the time and they'll keep making them. And you can make your audio, but if for you to get the best stuff out of your head and put it into someone else's, the best way to do it is through audio, then do that. Double down on that. Because trust me, you'll spend all your life trying to go from failing to somewhat proficient at something. And that's not even worth it. Because there's so many ways that you can get into your market. And the best part is that if they are attracted to the mechanism that you use to get them in, that means that they're going to be attracted to all the other stuff that you also have. Because it's not as if you created one video, let's say, to get them in, and then it turns out that you hate doing videos, so you're not going to do any more videos, and now you switched modalities on them. And it turns out that you have a lot of people that came in because they love watching videos, and you end up being someone who's sending them audio files or whatever, and they don't want to listen to it. So now you lost the connection. So the best thing to do is to focus on where your strength is and get them through that, and then you continue with that. And yes, you can add other things to the table, you can test out new things, you can practice, you can evolve, you can become better. But if you're currently struggling to get into a market and to get the market to value and appreciate what you're doing, the best way to do it is to focus not only on the best content that you can give them, but the best mechanism that you can use to deliver that, because it ensures that you will do it, so you'll have the quantity and the quality required for your success. That's it for me today. Till next time, this is Juan Morales signing out. I'll see you on the next one.